Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I look pretty ragged, don't I? And I'm sweating from head to toe. I've already been to the barn and took care of everything. Then went to the manure in my soil pile and pulled some more perilla. And my hands are sore. But, man, I took an ibuprofen yesterday. It was like I knew I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. And man, I'm still careful. Though it's like, pain-free day? Wow, that's kind of cool. But I'm still careful because I know I'll suffer afterwards once it wears off. But I feel really good today as well. I didn't. No. I only take about one a week when it really matters. Yeah. Okay. I still have some more of my perilla ginger tea. Now it's nice and cold from the fridge. So good. So refreshing. And the dogs are already back. And I put the food down for them. And Jake kept doing this stuff. And I'm going, let's see. So I stuck my finger in his mouth, sure enough. Sometimes when they're out there, he likes to chew on big old logs, and Bo, he'll dig for something and pull the roots out, and they get sticks stuck at the top, the roof of their mouth, like sideways, like this, and all wet, and they're way wedged in there. And you can't just go in there and like go in the middle and pull them. They won't come out. So you have to know to make sure that it doesn't suddenly slip down their throat. Then you have to go in with at least 2 fingers, which is usually I do, and go to one side and push, and it come loose, and you got it in your hands. And they won't fight you for it. They're happy you get this out for them, and then he could eat. But it happens. But again, right? Yeah, happens and often enough here. Not that often, but often enough, one knows what to do, right? Yes? Oh, the first couple times when it happened to Bo, I went, man, how am I going to get this out? How am I going to have to get pliers? Couldn't get it out. Till I'm going, okay, let's see. What's the logistics here if a stick's stuck like that in their mouth? And I said, you go to one side, push on it, and it comes immediately out. If you go in the middle and pull, you just wedge it in more. Well, anyway. We're so intelligent, right? They can't get that out. There's no way. They're gacked themselves to death or something. I don't know. But they can't do it. I've never seen one of them be able to get this out on their own. Right? Poor guys. Well, anyway, so here I am. Horses are out. Everybody is good. Maverick, beautiful dude. Anywho, and sawdust day today. So Cece went to town to get her truck. Then my husband's going to come too. And hopefully they'll go with both trucks. We need sawdust. One truck's fine too. And hopefully I won't have to go. I'll cook. And then part of the day will already be gone. It's a beautiful day though, as you can tell. It warmed up again. Yes. All right, let's get going here. Whew. Came across something interesting since we read David's Sin yesterday. And I wore a hat today. I didn't yesterday while I pulled all that perilla and ended up with some spiders and stuff in my hair crawling around on my... That's not a big deal. I don't care about stuff like that. They don't hurt me. Well, anyway, let's get going here. Maybe if I remember, we'll talk about it. Maybe we don't need to. It is what it is. People think what they want. God's laws are God's laws. You want to change them? You go and try. Might work here. All right, we're in 2 Samuel 12. David is rebuked by Nathan, his repentance. Nathan. I forgot. Who's Nathan now? Let's see. The prophet Nathan. Yahweh sent the prophet Nathan to David. He came to him and said, oh, that's why. That's why we know now. That's why they called it David's sin here. But it takes the 12 to know why they called it that, right? Yes? In the same town were two men, one rich, the other poor. The rich man had flocks and herds in great abundance. The poor man had nothing but a ewe lamb, only a single little one, which he had bought. He fostered it, and it grew up with him and his children, eating his bread, drinking from his cup, sleeping in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. When a traveler came to stay, the rich man would not take anything from his own flock or herd to provide for the wayfarer who had come to him. Instead, he stole the poor man's lamb and prepared that for his guest. Whoa. Now, again, so, okay, I think we know what that pertains to, right? Why not say that, right? Why make this big, long poem? Hey, David, you just took someone else's wife. Have a look at the 10 Commandments. What's the Ark of the Covenant all about? Huh? How about your forefather Moses? Go have a look. What are them 10 Commandments? What did you do? Twice. Not just once. Twice. Why didn't they say anything about Michal? Well, that was his wife first. Well, he seemed like he abandoned her, right? Did he? Also, it wasn't... Okay, I'm just saying, right? But there too. Maybe that was a little different. Okay, well, one can make excuses for someone's behavior, right? Here, though, because he's already really done it one time, when it comes down to it. Right? Now he did it blatantly, right? Really, totally, without any kind of no attachment to that woman beforehand or anything like that. So, is one, like the first time, though Michal was actually his wife at one point, but then took her away where she was actually really happy. He's already had a gazillion wives again. I'd say if he would have been faithful to her and didn't have more than none of them, and say, I'd like to have my wife back. That's my wife. That was stolen from me. But it wasn't like that, was it? It was not like that. So in the first instance, there were excuses made because, though it was the same sin, the second time, you couldn't excuse it anymore, in a way, right? Yes? Oh, well, God didn't excuse it anymore? Or, I mean, if the king is that kind of example to the people, what are the people gonna do? Huh? Behave better? Well, one would hope so, but I think history has proven that, yeah, okay, all right. There you go. David flew into a great rage with the man. As Yahweh lives, he said to Nathan, the man who did this deserves to die for doing such a thing and for having shown no pity. He shall make fourfold restitution for the lamb. David is, okay, I'm sorry, you guys, but you have to admit. I mean, here David goes, well, here's the story. Oh yeah. Never even thanks. Does that have something to do with me? Right? He doesn't even feel any kind of guilt or anything over what he did with Bathsheba and Uriah. Right? And he even says, yeah, man, that's not right. Yes? I'm sorry, guys. Is David a bit dumb? And where is his intelligence here? Through all of it. I'm just asking. I'm not saying it just sounds a little off to me. Nathan then said to David, you are the man. Yahweh, God of Israel, says this: I anointed you king of Israel. I saved you from Saul's clutches. I gave you your master's household and your master's wives into your arms. Oh, okay. I gave you the house of Israel and the house of Judah, and if this is still too little, I shall give you other things as well. Now, that's the first time I said, oh, so he also, so that one guy, right, where Saul's son kind of admonished him for having been sleeping with his father's wives after his death. Now, here we're hearing that David got them too? Okay, all right. I wonder if it's recorded anywhere how many wives he actually had. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and God gave them all to him. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, God's good with that. Let's throw that one commandment out. God must have made a mistake there. Oh, my gosh. It's how people fix things in their head. And on paper. Right, Jake? Okay. And if this is still too little, I shall give you other things as well. Why did you show contempt for Yahweh by doing what displeases him? You put Uriah the Hittite to the sword. You took his wife to be your wife, causing his death by the sword of the Ammonites. For this your household will never be free of the sword, since you showed contempt for me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to make her your wife. Yahweh says this: out of your own household I shall raise misfortune for you. Before your very eyes I shall take your wives and give them to your neighbor, who will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You have worked in secret, but I shall work this for all Israel to see in broad daylight. Okay, wait a second. So, there's one, if we want to believe this really comes from God now, right? Does God an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, really? Is that really how God works? Does he? And what about one cheek and the other cheek? That's it, right? There's discrepancies even right there. Which one do I apply when? Huh? And again, here are people involved. This isn't just. That's not just okay. So you took a golden cup from someone. You know what? I'm going to make sure that all of yours disappear and are given to somebody else. Right? Yes? Yeah, that would be kind of a sacrifice then. And David said, well, I don't know. He's probably had so many. Who cares, right? Make a few more. But there are people involved here. God would really just willy-nilly deal with people? Just use people to deal with David? I mean, in this case, and then have what? Well, if that's a sin for David, then wouldn't that be a sin for everyone else too, to do that? So there would be men willing out there to do that? Or is God just kind of, through Nathan, trying to show him, what if I were to do that? What if I were to just, take the people around you from you? Maybe that you love, or I don't know how you can love that many women, but okay. Love. I mean, love. Really love. And then keep up with the kids. Okay, just saying. Now let's find out. David said to Nathan, I have sinned against Yahweh. Nathan then said to David, oh, I find it interesting too. It's almost as if, so what? God has to threaten people until they realize they did something wrong. Nathan could have just said, David, don't you think you did something wrong here somewhere? Let me bring you the 10 Commandments and go through it and see if you've done something wrong. See if you... No, he has to be threatened. So it's not really acknowledging, what he did wrong. It's more, the threat of, oh, God, what? Okay, I have to repent. It doesn't matter how, but I have to. Or why? I just need to. Yes? Now, let's see how sincere David actually is. I have sinned against Yahweh. Nathan then said to David, Yahweh for his part forgives your sin. You are not to die. But since you have outraged Yahweh by doing this, the child born to you will die. And Nathan went home. Death of Bathsheba's child, birth of Solomon. So a child has to, be sacrificed here? Oh, come on. Just, I don't believe any of this. No, God doesn't work that way. David doesn't die, but an innocent child has to die. Okay, all right. Father, I'm trying. Using God. Again, this is just using God for whatever, to excuse whatever. God forgives David's sin. Yes. I wonder if he forgives that sin for everyone then, too. But does God have favorites? Does he have some kind of favoritism going on when it comes to sin? Yeah, I'll now that you're getting it, it's okay, I'll forgive you the sin. Yeah. But for others, they're going to go to hell for it? Oh, that's only if you don't repent. Okay, but if it's threatened into being repentful, isn't it? Yahweh struck the child which Uriah's wife had borne to David, and it fell gravely ill. Father, really? Did you just go ahead and kill an innocent child? No way, he says. No, nothing to do with me. David pleaded with Yahweh for the child. He kept a strict fast and went home and spent the night lying on the ground, covered with sacking. The officials of his household stood round him, intending to get him off the ground, but he refused, nor would he take food with them. On the 7th day the child died. David's retinue were afraid to tell him that the child was dead. Even when the child was alive, they thought, we reasoned with him and he would not listen to us. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He will do something desperate. Now they're afraid of David. David, however, noticed that his retinue were whispering among themselves and realized that the child was dead. Is the child dead? He asked the officers. They replied, he is dead. David got off the ground, bathed and anointed himself, and put on fresh clothes. Then he went into Yahweh's sanctuary and prostrated himself. On returning to his house, he asked to be served with food and ate it. His retinue said, why are you acting like this? When the child was alive, you fasted and wept. Now that the child is dead, you get up and take food. When the child was alive, he replied, I fasted and wept because I kept thinking, who knows? Perhaps Yahweh will take pity on me and the child will live. But now that he's dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he cannot come back to me. David consoled his wife Bathsheba. He went to her and slept with her. She conceived and gave birth to a son, whom she called Solomon. Yahweh loved him and made this known by means of the prophet Nathan, who named him Jedediah, as Yahweh had instructed. He had two names, Solomon and Jedediah. Oh, interesting. I wonder if people know that. They talk about one or the other. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know what to say to this one. I really don't. It's just, okay. I don't know. I know that God has never asked for a sacrifice of a child or a human being. Ever. Never. Ever. I do not believe that. I will never believe that. Ever. What I do believe, though, is that people will fix things, twist the words around, I don't know how, this, that, to either cover up their sins, cover up their mistakes. Okay? And then when the time comes where, one has been found out, one is being called out, then one still finds ways to somehow then look pitiful, turn it around and become the victim rather than being the perpetrator. And well, anyway, I'm not saying any more to this. People can look at it however they want to. This is a very sad story here, altogether. It's just, in a way, how things are running in the principles of love. It's so easy to see why. There are so many different problems, horrific problems, still in this world today when it comes to the principles of love, right? Yes? Capture of Rabbah. Joab assaulted Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal town. The other thing too, so one more time, just also the last part on how then David laid again with Bathsheba, and and then she had another kid, and God so loved that child. I find it so sad that the first child doesn't even have a name, though it lived too for a little while. Doesn't even have a name. We're not even given a name. It's already, according to them, not God. It's cursed. It's a cursed child. God needs it as a sacrifice. It won't live. Right? Though David is hoping that it would live, right? But it doesn't even have a name. Not here, it doesn't. And then the child that lived. So, like, that child was worth what? Nothing. It wasn't worth anything. Because of the way that, the deceitful way it was conceived. It wasn't worth anything. Then the child afterwards, right? That lived is not. I was so loved by God, right? Yes? Really? Wow. Really? That's how God operates? Seriously? Anybody believe that out there? If you really truly have a relationship with God, even if it's just a very basic one, do you believe that? Really? I don't believe that. Nope. Not for a moment. People may believe what they want out there. Okay, capture of Rabbah. Let's go back to that. Joab assaulted Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal town. Right back to that. He then sent messengers to tell David, I have assaulted Rabbah and captured the water supply. So now muster the rest of the army, lay siege to the town and take it, or I will take it and the town will be called after me. Whoop. So David mustered the whole army and marched on Rabbah. See, so here again too. Hey, I got him. Now come on, help me out. Or if I take my, it's like there's no working together. There's a constant threat going on here. As I said, we don't really know what their relationship is like, but man, okay. Yeah, marched on Rabbah. He assaulted the town and captured it. He took the crown of Milcom's head. It weighed 1 talent of gold, and in it was set a precious stone, which went on David's head instead. He carried off great quantities of booty from the town. Ooh, is that how crowns came to be? Wah, wah, wah. And he expelled its inhabitants, setting them to work with saws, iron picks, and iron axes, employing them at brick making. Oh, sounds like a... All right, I'm not going to go there. He treated all the Ammonite towns in the same way. David and the whole army returned to Jerusalem. Okay, there you go. What I don't understand with all them capturing the towns, this and that the Israelites have done, provoked, unprovoked, I mean, I said, seems to me it's going to be written down in favor of whom, because this is the Bible, and Israel is the first people, of God's people, blah, blah, blah. What I'm not finding in there is where the Levites. If David, Saul, whoever came before that, when they started to expand their territory, why not just? I mean, it's not like there was only one or two at the Levites. There was a whole big old tribe of tens of thousands of people. And here's David now as well. And he has, all his sons are supposed to be priests. Right? Well, then, what I don't understand is that through all of that time, it had to be, 100, 150, couple hundred years since what? Moses' time, maybe even more, 300 years. How come they don't have anything in place when they have defeated the army, which to me means the soldiers, okay? Why not go and talk to the people who said, look, would you like to be a part of God's people? I'm not going to kill anybody else. Okay? Only the ones that are standing against us with weapons. I'm going to leave you here in this town. But we would like to teach you what? About God. About the 10 Commandments. Teach about the feasts that we have. To respect and honor God. And how the blessings then come to us. Would you be willing to study the 10 Commandments and get rid of your idols? It kind of never comes up, does it? It's all just about conquering, on how God's on one side of some people, and yeah, even forgives his own laws, like thou shalt not commit adultery. Throws it out the door when it comes to his own people, right? Yes, only means something for everyone else, or is considered a sin. Yes. Isn't that odd? I find that odd. Maybe they weren't taught. Well, under whose guidance are they? Under whose guidance did they want to be pretty darn quickly? God's? We'd have to go back to Samuel 1, where that all started, more or less. The infighting was already there before that, right? Yes? Well, interesting, right? It's just, as I said. But I think one thing in all this, I have to say, no. In God's eyes, we're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, if you give more or if you give less. If, literally, right? We're all the same in God's eyes. It depends on us, really, right? If we are better for ourselves, that can change. Be better. Be worse. Be your absolute worst. Be your absolute best. Somewhere in the middle. We choose inequality in each other, in ourselves, looking at other people. God doesn't do that. In God's eyes, we are all the same. All the same. All exactly the same. It was always like that, and it will never change. It has never changed, and it will never change. There is no reason, absolute no reason out there, anywhere. No excuse will ever stand to not follow the 10 Commandments. That is that. Though people try. Yes? Convince you. Yes? Yeah, but though it's the same thing. it's different here because God loves this person and doesn't really want anything to do with this one. Okay. It's an odd way of thinking if you truly believe in God, but okay. I'm trying. Just reading the Bible. That's all I'm doing. Right, guys? I'm going to make ratatouille. Ratatouille today, which is a sauce, tomato sauce with zucchini. Yeah, I still have zucchini. And I'm going to add a lot. I like a lot of garlic in mine. I'm going to use some onion, a lot of garlic, and some basil. I still have some basil. And then I'm first going to make the sauce. I'm not going to put the ratatouille. Okay. I'm going to tell you how I make my ratatouille. First, and I don't have any fresh tomatoes, but I have a ton of canned tomatoes. So I'm taking the canned tomatoes and I'm going to saute them first. Yes. I could put them in the oven too and brown them, but since they're in a can, I'm probably not going to do that. But I saute them first with the herbs and everything in it, and the garlic, and then I simmer that for a little bit, just for a little, and then I'll let it cool, and then I put it in a blender and mix it all up. Yes, and then I put it back in the pan. I add the basil onto it. Yes, and some other spice, probably some paprika. Paprika is really good. I'm going to add some of my pepper butter that I made, hot pepper butter. I'm going to add some of that to it, not too much because Cece doesn't like it too spicy. And then I'm going to let that simmer for about 2 hours. Yes. I'll let that simmer for 2 hours. Probably going to add a little bit of salt. I'll see with everything that's already in it how much I need. A little bit of salt maybe. And then after 2 or 3 hours, just simmering, I'm going to cut the zucchini in slices. And what I do with the zucchini, okay, because these zucchinis are so big, the inside is just seeds and membrane. So I spoon that out. The outside I take off as well because it's too hard to eat. They're too big. So the skin's too hard to eat and they won't soften up. So you're crunching around and soft stuff. Yeah. And then I cut them in slices, small pieces, and put that in, kind of half moon slices, and put that in and let that simmer for another maybe 15 minutes. I don't like the zucchini all the way mushy. I like them still a little crunchy. You don't have that many of them things on you today. That's a good sign. And and then I'll taste it and add some more things to it if I want to, just to taste, and then that's it. Then you can have that over any kind of pasta, or I'm going to make spaghetti with it, and it's delicious. You can put some meat in it too if you want to. But I have so much of it that I'm going to make enough that I can put some in the freezer. Yes. No, I'm not going to can it. I got a big old freezer out there, and I don't make so much that it doesn't get used up within about a year or so. So there you go. Yes, yes, yes. So that's another thing I'm going to do today to make sure none of those zucchinis go to waste. Yes. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to share today. I think it's enough. God's love and blessings always. May He protect you, and I will talk to y'all another time.